Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Liberation Day Festival, the Indigenous Liberation Day Festival here at Pakhuis de Zwijger in Amsterdam. This session is titled Indigenous Cultures of Resistance, where we'll be talking about how indigenous people use culture to resist the oppression and genocide at times that they face. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ali El-Jabri. I'm a professional moderator and studio presenter with Pro Moderation. It's a great honor to be part of this event today. In our session, we'll be talking to 3 indigenous artists and activists. They will talk with us about how they use art to resist, what the role is of artistic resistance for their communities, and there'll also be 3 performances in between. Let me thank Arales, Arts of Resistance, Pakhuis de Zwijger, and the Amsterdam Fonds for de Kunsten for making this event possible. I suggest you give yourself, the speakers, and those who organized this great event a great applause, and then I introduce the speakers to you. May I ask the speakers to come forward and take their seats, please? Jero, Myra, and Roberto. So what we'll be doing is I'll be asking the speakers some questions. There'll be performances in between, and I hope I'll be fast enough in firing my questions at you to save some time at the end, about 10 minutes, for Q&A, where I will welcome you to ask your questions and make your comments. Let me introduce the speakers to you. Immediately next to me sits Jero Gainako. He's a Fulani language rapper, organizer, and activist from Mauritania who was forced to flee to the Netherlands as a result of his activism a few years ago. Next to him sits Myra Collis, indigenous person from the Philippine Cordillera region. She's founder of MABAIKAs Foundation Netherlands, which promotes indigenous people empowerment and also promotes the reliving of indigenous culture. Last but not least is Roberto Kalisaya. He's an Aymara Bolivian multi-instrumentalist and founder of Yatianya, which promotes traditional culture and organizes social projects in Bolivia. He'll be speaking in Dutch, and I might have to translate. Is there anyone in the room who speaks no Dutch at all? All right, so I'll double as an amateur interpreter. Forgive me if at times I'm not fast or accurate enough. How about another round of applause? Okay. Let us start perhaps by asking a question that sets the context. I'll ask each speaker to share with us in 3 minutes. It's very short, way too short, and doesn't do justice to the answers that you're probably trying to give. Can you tell us about the plight and the struggle of your people? Maybe I start with Jero.
So I think you have to make it easier English for me, or you speak in French.
Easy English. Jero, can you tell us a little about the struggle of the Fulani people in Mauritania? Very brief.
Yeah, I think some of you can know Mauritania. And yeah, it's not only the Fulani people who have problem in Mauritania. You have also other communities like Wolof and Soninke who have the same problem because of one Arabic ideology we call Bas. The Bas party is coming from Syria and Iraq or something like this, but they get influence on a small part of Arabic people in Mauritania. And they help them, all the Arabic countries help them to occupy it and to colonized, yes, all the black people in Mauritania. That means since 1966, we're facing Arabization problems and genocide, deportation, and some activists or artists or writers or journalists they have to flee because it's not a safe country for them.
When you say the Ba'ath Party, for your own, for your knowledge, if you're familiar with the former president of Iraq, Saddam Hussein, that's the party that he belonged to. Why was the Ba'ath Party supporting this movement in Mauritania?
Yeah, because we had a small part of Arabic, and the maximum of their intelligentsia was in Iraq to get trained, and when they come back to make like a resurrection of Arabic movements, and that's why they wanted to occupy Mauritania, because Mauritania is between Morocco and Senegal, between the Maghreb Arab and the part of sub-Saharan Africa. Then that means is like a border, and yeah, they wanted to do it because they want to make Arabic as a language and culture, and to deny all the rest of the culture and the languages. This is the problem.
The Arabic presence in Mauritania, I think, goes back about 800-900 years.
No, I don't think. The autochthon, Mauritanian autochthon, are Soninke, Fula, and Serer, and Wolof. The Arabic, they just come with Islam, I think.
And when was this? About how long ago?
It's not too long ago, but I think is not more than 500 years. Yes, something like this.
And so there's an attempt to erase the indigenous culture of the Wolof, the Soninke people, and the Fulani people in Mauritania.
What?
An attempt, they try to erase, destroy the culture of your people.
Yeah. Nowadays, we're facing to the one law. They made one law to block all the Soninkes and Wolof and Pula to study in our language. This is now the problem we're facing, because now they make it a law.
They prohibited the study of your languages.
Yes, and I think since some years, then we will see an assimilation starting in the country. That's why we're trying to organize with our colleagues. We made a new movement we call OLAN, is an organization for officialization of national languages. And now we're making awareness to make people aware to stand and to try to block this law. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for sketching the scene, Yero. Let us move to Myra. Myra, tell us a little about the struggle that your people are facing in the Philippines.
First and foremost, I would like to say good evening to everyone, and it's nice to see you here. My name is Myra, and I come from the Philippines, northern Philippines, so I'm a pure indigenous person. And in the Philippines, we have so many indigenous groups from the north to south, and I'm from the north. And for every indigenous groups, we have a common struggle, and that is a struggle for self-determination, struggle for autonomy, struggle to own our lands, because what's happening now is that land grabbing is very common. So if it's not the government, it's the corporate or the people who has money who start grabbing the lands, ancestral lands of the indigenous people.
And these corporations are from where?
Corporations like gold mining corporations.
So they are international corporations?
Yes, international corporations whose interests are to take the natural resources from the Philippines, which is a lot. And from the place where I grew up, there is gold from the place where I grew up, and that's where they start, of course, creating those, building businesses that grabs the natural resources there. But my point is that when it comes to struggles, really we struggle on claiming our own land. We struggle in keeping our ancestral lands to us indigenous people, and that is all throughout the country for every indigenous groups in the country, not only from where I belong.
Can we thank you for that explanation so far? Can we go back one step in history? The Philippines was a Spanish colony and subsequently a US colony.
Yes.
How was the relationship between those colonizers and indigenous people?
Yes, thankfully, I'm from the north, and I'm an Igorot, an indigenous group from northern Philippines. And of all the indigenous groups and of all the regions in the Philippines, it is my region that was resistant to colonization. So when we were colonized by the Americans, first by the Spaniards, we were the ones who were not invaded, so to say. And so what happened is that because we were not in line with the mainstream Filipinos, most of the country call us like savages, or they started naming us in such a way that we are below the rest of the Filipino citizens. So when we talk about relationship with our colonizers, we really don't have that close relationship with colonizers because we were the ones who were not colonized, and we stand up on our autonomy against them and against their invasion. But as a result, we become a minority in our country, which is very interesting because how could you do that to your own people, right? So
Right. And so let's say the form of colonization that you experience most is carried out by corporations now who are grabbing land and taking resources.
yes.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks a lot for that explanation. Roberto, welkom en dankjewel dat je de tijd maakt voor ons. Roberto, jij komt uit Bolivia, komt van de Aymara people, Aymara mensen. Kun je ons vertellen over de strijd die jullie in Bolivia voeren? Ik ga even deze vraag vertalen naar het Engels. I'm asking Roberto, who is from the Aymara people of Bolivia, to tell us about the struggle that they are facing in Bolivia.
Tatanaka mamanaka humanaka hawaliki elkaar mahutaptaga. Met andere woorden, goedenavond allemaal. Ik heet Roberto Callisaya Hilara. Ik kom oorspronkelijk van gemeenschap Aymara. En ik kom van een heel klein dorpje van Bolivia. En ik kan mij vertellen hoe was het vroeger door de kolonisatie. Ja, wij mochten niks... in onze taal mochten wij niks spreken. Ja, door de verdwaald van een man die heet het Columbus. Wij zijn genoemd Indios. Dat betekent voor ons in Bolivia, Indios betekent een scheldwoord. Dat je bent een steen. Je hebt geen gevoel, geen pijn.
Ik ga even vertalen deze, Roberto. Dankjewel voor de uitleg en excuses voor de onderbreking. So he spoke in his indigenous language, which means good evening. He is an Aymara person, comes from a very small village in Bolivia, and wanted to tell us about the past of the colonization of his people. They were oppressed and not allowed to speak their own language by the colonizer, and it is because of one man who lost his way, Columbus, that we are called Indios, Indians. And to us, this is a derogatory term, says Robert. It means you are like a stone. You are someone who has no feeling.
Nou, gelukkig vanaf 2007. Wij zijn niet República de Bolivia. Wij zijn Estado Plurinacional de Bolivia. En nu mogen wij overal... nu is bekend, wij bestaan in Bolivia 36 nationaliteiten. En ik kan voorstellen, 36 talen. Dus ik spreek mijn Aymara en andere Quechua. Meeste de groepen, de Indianen, bekend was de Quechua-gemeenschap. Dat is oorspronkelijk van de Incas. In Aymara, wat ik vandaan, dat is voor Incas. En Tupi-Guarani, dat is broers en zuster van de Amazonegebied en Barmegebied.
Ja, kan je dat nog één keer zeggen, dat woord, Tupi? De broer en zusters van?
Welke zeggen?
Dus de Aymara zijn broertjes en zusjes van?
Tupi-Guarani.
Tupi-Guarani.
Ja, dat was de grote bevolkingsgroep, allemaal bekend. Maar de rest was onbekend. Vanaf 2007 wij zijn
Roberto,
36 natuurlijk.
Ja, ik ga dankjewel. I wasn't expecting native languages as well in this very tough interpretation job. So Roberto was kindly telling us more, saying that luckily, I'm translating now, luckily from 2007, we are no longer known as the Republic of Bolivia. Rather, we are known as the pluro-nationalist Republic of Bolivia, where 36 nationalities are recognized, which also means 36 languages. The Quechua, who come from the Incas, and the Tupi-Guarani are very, very famous indigenous groups, and the Aymara as well, but there are many others that are less well known.
En ja, vroeger, wat heb ik gezegd, meegemaakt, ik mocht wij niet onze kleren dragen. En de invloed van de stad naar het dorp was groot. Hè. En gelukkig vandaag is anders. Vanaf een Indiaanse president kwam aan de macht. Vanaf die dag is voor ons veranderd.
We hebben het over Morales, hè?
Ja, Evo Morales, een Indiaan, van oorspronkelijk ook van Aymara. Vanaf die dag nu is het anders, steeds beter. Steeds beter, maar de stammeling van de kolonisten altijd zit erin. Altijd, ja, je hebt niet vrije weg om verder te ontwikkelen. Jammer genoeg, maar gaat de goede kant.
Heel goed. Okay, hartelijk dank, Roberto. Thank you very much for your contribution. I'll just interpret the final bit. He reiterated the oppression that the Aymara and other indigenous people faced, including not being allowed to wear their traditional dress. And the influence of the state, including in his own village, was very large. However, things are different now, following the coming to power of an Aymara president, Evo Morales. Things are going better. However, development towards further improvement is often blocked by the children of the colonists. They are always present and make further development more difficult. Dankjewel. Thank you very much for your excellent setting the scene so far. Let me ask you one more very quick question before we go to the first performance. Myra, I'd like to start with you. You are now living in the diaspora. You have migrated from your country, from your territory. You live in the Netherlands. How do you continue the struggle in the diaspora, and how is that different than doing it back home?
How did we continue? When I came here to the Netherlands, of course, as a migrant, you have to start all over again from base one, which means to say learning the new language, making new friends, and even building a new career, which is not so easy at all. And of course, as an indigenous people, what I was missing was the indigenous, the values, the culture that I was used to, and the way of things back home. And that's something that I was missing. And of course, as we struggle for autonomy and self-determination, that kind of things, those kind of issues are still in my heart. And so how could I continue fighting for this while I'm away from home? That's really also for me is a struggle, because like, oh, you're away from home, what do you do now? So in search of that, in search for answer, thankfully I found and I've met fellow indigenous people here in the Netherlands who came from the same region as I did. And from there, we actually founded the organization, which is the MABAIKAs Foundation, the Netherlands, which we call the Philippine Connection, the Philippine Cordillera Connection in the Netherlands. And through this organization, with its legal phase, we aim to continue our fight and fight for the rights of the indigenous people back home with whatever we can do here.
Part of your resistance, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is to relive your own culture, customs, and values.
Yes.
Why is that so important?
I think because that goes to the role of culture when we talk about resistance. What does it play? And when we relive our culture, our values, it actually brings back the real self in us. I mean, our true identity, you know. When you get lost, when you don't know who you are, when you don't know who you are, you're easily persuaded, or it's easy for you to change your values. It's easy for you to be persuaded by other people's mindset, you know. But if you know who you are, that's very difficult. And reliving yourself here in a foreign land enables us to be strong and to make our identity also visible and is present wherever we are.
Thank you
So
very
that's
much.
why it's important.
Myra, thanks for sharing. Yero, the same question to you. When did you leave Mauritania?
Just now 5 years, yes.
5 years ago?
Yeah.
You were in Mauritania already an activist?
Yeah.
What is the activism that you do in the Netherlands?
Yeah, I try to, it's not only in Netherlands, I go in France where I can speak fluently French, and Belgium. I think I'm more active in these countries than in Netherlands because I had this problem because since day one I start to speak English, and Dutch I'm I think in 0 level. Yeah, but I'm trying to participate and to connect with like Mark in Afro Groove and many different network I get from the organization who invite me in Netherlands, because I was invited by Justice and Peace, one program they call Shelter City. It's for activists and who had problem to do their work in their country. Then yeah, I still try to go in like these events to talk about Mauritania, and otherwise I'm in contact with Mauritania. I am active on social media, and we're doing many different actions, and also with my music I'm trying to write what's happening, because now I'm a little bit safe. I can say all the things I want to say, and yeah, is not 100%, but yeah, I think is better than nothing. And I think also now we changed the government. We have a new president. He's not
in Mauritania.
He's not really like the one we had before. The one we had before, he was just a criminal. And
So it's an improvement now, also for your people.
No, I mean, I'm thinking to go back. I'm thinking to go back because there is no more criminal actions they do, but they just can block you in some ways. You cannot speak on the TVs. But yeah, now I see I have many friends, many activists. They go back in the country, and now me also. I'm preparing. I'm thinking to go back because I'm more util when I'm in my country. Because here, yes, if I just stay, I will just be eaten by the system and become someone else. And yeah, I don't want this.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
You're more useful and you're more in Mauritania, as you said, and you don't want to be eaten by the system. Roberto, jij bent weggegaan uit Bolivia. Hoe draag je op dit moment bij aan de strijd van jouw mensen? You have left Bolivia. How do you contribute to the struggle of your people now?
Wat ik doe, ik ben de enigste hier. Zo ver van daar. Probeer ik via... Wat heb ik mijn voorouders les gekregen? Muziek, dans. En mijn broeders en zusters in Bolivia doorgeven. Dat niet mijn cultuur gaat dood. Dat doorgeven, ik kijk mezelf in de spiegel. Toen ik klein was, ik wil naar de stad. Maar zonder iets te weten van mijn achtergrond. Wil ik, nieuwe Nike hebben. Ja, als je iemand mooie kleren, wil ik ook. Dus als jij in de stad bent, misschien in de stad is anders. Dus wat ik doe via Nederland, ik ben muzikant, dus ik speel alle soorten panfluiten. Weten jullie misschien dat in Bolivia wij hebben 1000 soorten fluiten.
1 seconde. Dus, deze cliffhanger, die ga ik even vasthouden. Real interpreters can memorize all this. I've seen them work. I'm not that good. Okay. So what he does here is learn from his forefathers and foremothers and try and pass on his culture to his brothers and sisters of his community in Bolivia. I looked in the mirror, he said, when I was younger and I wanted to go to the city, but I had no knowledge of my own roots and my own culture. I did not know anything about my cultural background. I wanted what they had there, such as beautiful clothes. But now I try to relive that culture. I am a musician. I play all types of pan flutes from Bolivia. Did you know that there are over 1,000 pan flutes, kinds of pan flutes in Bolivia? He'll tell us about it now.
Ja, dat is... we hebben 1000 soorten muziekinstrumenten. Onze muziek, niet alleen om te feesten en dansen, rituelen. Onze muziek gaat met cyclus van landbouw. Vanaf zaaitijd tot oogsten. Dus net als in Nederland, als je mooie weer is, heb je mooie kleren, andere kleren, dunne kleren. Als je koud is, dikke kleren, zie je zo. Zo een muziek gemaakt in Bolivia. Dus voor elke seizoen is ander instrumenten.
Okay. Dankjewel, Roberto. Roberto's explaining that there's thousands of types of musical instruments in Bolivia, and music in Bolivia, the traditional music he's talking about, is not just to have fun, party and dance. It is actually cyclical. It goes with the movement of the seasons. Just as in the Netherlands, you sometimes wear thick clothes and sometimes thin clothes, depending on the season, the music in his culture also changes along with the seasons. Dankjewel, Roberto. I think it's time, because I've taken you from the political context with our speakers to the artistic context. And we will now listen to the first performance, which is by Yero, as I said, a Fulani rapper and musician. Yero, can you tell us very briefly what the song is about that you are about to perform?
Yeah, this song, it's called Mbimi. It's I Say. It's like plaidoirie, where do we call it? In advocacy, something like this. A plaidoyer for the national languages. I write this song before this law because I was seeing the Arabization coming. And yeah, I just say in the song, we ask to speak our languages, to learn in our languages, and to protect our culture, like they make the protection of Arabic and make it like obligation to all Mauritanians to study.
Very clear. Who is playing with you? Because I think there's a guitarist.
I play with James.
James, give them an applause, both of them. The floor is yours. There's the mic. Go for it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yero we ko dem defof yo binde. Yero we ko dem defof yo jange. Yero we ko leji fof yo kise. Yero we ko dem defof yo kale. Yo totte hakke mumen, totte gede mumen, totte kala mumen. Yo totte hakke mumen, totte gede mumen, totte kala mumen. Yo totte hakke mumen, kisna gande mumen, totte kala mumen. Yo totte hakke mumen, totte gande mumen, totte kala mumen. Alareni en no yero mama galo, yero kainako, jambaro malama. Alareni en no yero mama galo, yero gainako malama. Okay, rapper mean jangbu bidum koy gese se moda rega no mbege aya hui cholin juri mangule fama mean yadam ko se je suis pressé mis à la pression mixage pour la franglais Fredo beat do caisse clair et charlet fight kick freedom fight on the Mali. Marley, when no Bob Marley, no reggae jiggity bam ziggy, no rap jiggy to me. Do re mi, one setting take it in me. Take it easy, no pure ass tiggity gee. Me no liggy, I so meti no check it in ni, no help check it in ni. Sabi chakrumini, nagiri rap no zrig, no go no chakri ni. Vocabulaire zero der zig, the flow cat mini. Tampini min, wabe no mon tampini min. Yero we go, them the fourth, yo line. Yero we go, them the fourth, yo jange. Yero we go, leggy fourth, yo kise. Yero we go, them the fourth, yo kale. Yo tote haki woman, tote get the woman, tote kala woman. Yo tote haki woman, tote get the woman, tote kala woman. Yo tote haki woman, tote get the woman, tote kala woman. Yo tote haki woman, kiss na gande woman, tote kala woman. Alarini and yero mama galu. Gainako jambaro malama larini en galu gainako malama. Thank you. And yeah,
one more time.
Make some noise for my brother James. Because yeah, since 5 years he's supporting me and helping me with many things like Mark. And yeah, he's from US. He's from Manhattan or something like this. Me, I come from small village in Africa. That means also the language is really something important because yeah, it's make connection. And he helped me a lot with my English also. Then yeah.
Yero and James. Thank you very much, Yero. That was a fantastic performance. I wish I didn't have so many questions so we could keep listening to music, but I think there'll be more later this evening. I'd like to... is this one still working? I was hesitant about whether or not I should share this quote, but I'll do it anyway. It's by the legendary Cape Verdean revolutionary leader, Amilcar Cabral, and he said this: "History teaches us that in certain circumstances, it is very easy for the foreigner to impose his domination on a people. But it also teaches us that whatever may be the material aspects of this domination, it can be maintained only by the permanent, organized repression of the cultural life of the people concerned." Myra, I'd like to turn to you. Can you relate to this? That oppression of a people is actually only possible when you oppress their culture?
Yes, definitely. Just like what Esther mentioned earlier during the plenary session, that when we allow our values to be corrupted and when we allow our identity to be replaced by our oppressors' values and identity, that's how we also lost our own self. So definitely I relate to that.
Let me ask you a follow-up question on this, because when we're saying our values, being the values of your people, for example, how do they differ from the values that are taught in modern societies?
Yeah. We indigenous people, we are communal in nature. Now we live in a Western society where we are this very individualistic. It's like we mind your own business thing. But I think nowadays we are trying to also like a shift from being individualistic to being communal. But where I grew up, it's always communal. Like we see other people as extension of ourselves, and not only other people, but also the nature itself. So we see the rivers, the mountains, the forest as part of ourselves. So if we destroy them, we destroy ourselves. And if we destroy other people, we destroy ourselves, right? But if we empower each other, we empower our own selves. So that kind of values, the individualistic versus communal, that's just one thing. Yeah.
And the living in a way that does not harm your environment,
Yes.
your natural environment.
Exactly.
Yeah. Roberto, jij zei net dat dingen zijn verbeterd in Bolivia. Maar is er nog steeds op een bepaalde manier een onderdrukking van inheemse cultuur? Just asking Roberto, he said that things have improved in Bolivia. And I'm asking, are there ways in which indigenous cultures are still oppressed?
Ja, nog steeds. Verandert het niet. Ik denk een generatie moet veranderen. Misschien dan verandert. Maar blijft de onderdrukken bestaan. Ik denk
En op welke manier gebeurt dat? So Roberto is saying, yes, there's still oppression of indigenous cultures. Just 1 second. 1 seconde, Roberto.
Yes.
There's still oppression of indigenous cultures. And I think we need another generation before this may end. And I asked as a follow-up question, how does that oppression look like?
Ik denk je moet weten dat hoe iemand gekleed is, hoe iemand uitziet, dan iemand doet het niet als superieur, dat iets te maken met hoe oud zit. En dan denk ik dat het minder is, maar dat is niet zo. En ik hoop dat het beter wordt, maar blijft ik denk ik. Ik ben niet optimistisch en de wereld blijft te onderdrukken. Dat is sommigen wel macht hebben. Dus dat blijft voor altijd, denk ik.
Good. Can we switch off this one? Because I'm not using it now and it's disturbing. Thank you very much. Thank you, Roberto. So the answer that Roberto gave is clothing, the way you are dressed, the way you look. There's a superior, inferior type of hierarchy there. And Roberto says that he is not optimistic in that sense. That type of oppression will remain because he believes there's always people who will seek to gain more power. Jero, you already explained there's lots of oppression of your culture. I want to ask you, I think, another more detail-oriented question. Thanks.
Thank you.
What are the most important values that are in your Fulani culture that help you to live your life?
I think the first is the language. And you were talking about Amical Cabral, and I think the culture, the language is something like really important. It's like the roots. When you want to kill a community, you just kill the language. Because all the rest of the culture go through the language, I think. And
so the language to you is not just a way to communicate. There's actually a lot more in it.
Yeah, it's a lot of more things, values inside. And yeah, if you want to eliminate a culture, a community, you just attack the roots. The roots is the language. And yeah, if we cannot speak our languages, that we lost ourselves. We not in contact in ourselves. We become like assimilated as slaves in Mauritania. You know, we have like 20% in the biggest Mauritanian community. They are under slavery. And these people, they don't have a language, they don't have culture, they just don't have nothing. They just have only power to be exploited by the masters. And
only physical power. Yeah.
Only physical power. Yes.
I'd like to thank you very much again for your clarifications. It's time for our next performance, which is recorded. It's a recorded dance. Myra, you brought this along. Can you tell us what we are about to see in 30 seconds? And I think as we play the video, you will be commenting. Am I right?
Oh, probably I could just say it right now, so you enjoy watching it. Yeah. So I cannot do it myself because it's a community dance, and so it involves a lot of people. I would have loved to do it all together, but time is the problem. But anyway, the dance is a community dance, and every step has its meaning. It's historically it's a dance of victory and triumph against the invaders and against aggression. But nowadays it's used as a community dance for curing a sickness or during the wedding, and also for a bountiful harvest. So when you see the people dancing with their the beginning of the dance, they come. It implies a unity, like we are all in one tribe, and that is true because we are all belonging to the humankind tribe, human beings. And also, when they start raising their hands, that's a sign for like protection and provision and reliance to the Almighty. So enjoy the dance. Again, it's a dance for triumph, a dance of victory. Yeah.
May I ask Roberto, the speakers, to sit down so we have free access to the screens?
Yeah.
All right, enjoy.
So this is the entrance dance to form a circle. So it's always in a circular motion. And there you go with the hand raising, which means protection and praising the Almighty. By the way, this is a dance that is non-stop. So, but this is only 3 minutes. But non-stop, because the name of this dance is Bendian in our local language, and in English it means dance until you get tired. So it's like the Zumba version of our community, because you really get tired from dancing. Yeah. Yeah, so that is it, and I hope you enjoy watching. Last year we did it in the Saal, I think, but this year we cannot do it, unfortunately. Yeah, so.
Thank you very much, Myra, for bringing this along and for your explanation. I wasn't tired watching. How about you? It's time for... I rushed through my questions to make space for you. If you don't have questions, don't worry, I have more. If you do, raise your hand. A microphone will come to you, and I implore you to keep your question or comment very brief in the interest of time, because we need to go back to the plenary room for more performances, I guess, and more interesting talks. So who wants to contribute? Raise your hand. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, let's start there. What's your name?
Gabriela.
Hi, Gabriela.
Gabriela Telleria. I am from Bolivia. And well, thank you very much. Very nice, interesting your explanation. I admire you that you dare to stand for your people and to fight for the decolonization and all the rights that is a long way to go. And I will ask Roberto that he explain us what means this very nice, colorful. It's not a flag, I know, but Huipala is the name. Please, can you explain us what is this meaning and what you have there on the table? Also, is very special from Bolivian people. Thank you.
Straks ga ik om te beginnen in Bolivia. Voordat we geen iets doen, wij bedanken Moeder Aarde. En met Moeder Aarde, hier hebben wij de La Hoja Millenaria. De plant voor ons, voor Indiaanse, is een heel belangrijke plant. De coca-bladeren. Die genezen als je hoofdpijn hebt. Die kan je, als je een leven kan lezen. De shaman gebruikt de coca-bladeren. En om te beginnen geven wij altijd drie dingen.
Okay, Roberto, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
A moment. So, first of all, before we start anything in Bolivia, we start by thanking Mother Earth. And Roberto also said, I hope I'm not mispronouncing, the Olga millenaria,
yeah.
Sorry.
Planta millenaria.
Planta millenaria. Coca leaves he showed to us, they are very important to his culture. For example, shamans use it to read your life. And they also cure all kinds of pains and illnesses such as headaches. And then he said there are 3 things.
Nou, dit is heel belangrijk om te bedanken, Moeder Aarde. En dan altijd met 3 blaadjes. Begin je het mooiste blaadje, zoek je. En dan doe je die manier. En dan doe je in je hart. En dan geef je aan iemand. En als je echt Moeder Aarde bedankt, ga je in de aarde stoppen. Dat is om te beginnen. Maar nu zijn wij hier met elkaar. Misschien straks neem je in een blaadje. Dat betekent ook in broederschap samen zijn vanavond. Een belangrijke dag. Dan ga ik doen dat de rituele manier. Wij doen altijd ritueel om te beginnen. Om landbouwen. Wat jij doet. En straks bedoel ik om muziek. En straks zou ik maken. Dan ga ik ook een ritueel doen. En weet je dat alles goed gaat. Hè?
Okay.
Dus bedanken. En dan probeer ik deze manier.
Oh, okay.
Geven. En de tweede vraag is die vlag.
Roberto, eerst de eerste vraag vertalen.
Ja. Vergeet ik wel.
Sorry for onderbreken. I really hate to interrupt. I'm very sorry for this. So to give thanks, we use 3 beautiful coca leaves. And if you want to thank someone, you take the leaves as he demonstrated, you put it in your heart, and then you give it to them. If you're thanking Mother Earth, you put it in your heart and then you put it in the earth as though you're planting it. And this is a way to express thank and a feeling of brotherhood by giving it to someone, expressing that feeling of brotherhood. And maybe before you leave, you can take a coca leaf with you. In his culture, rituals are very important. You begin many things with a ritual, and he demonstrated one of those rituals by tearing up the coca leaves and spreading them around. For example, when they start planting their land, they do such rituals.
Yeah.
And during his performance, he will also do a ritual. His performance is the one that concludes the evening. Roberto, jij wou nog 1 ding zeggen?
Ja, ik wil nog zeggen dat is Moeder Aarde voor ons heel belangrijk. Moeder Aarde is de moeder van natuur. Want wij zijn onze moeder geeft ons alles. Dus een leven van ons, Indiaanse gemeenschap, geven en nemen. Om met elkaar een goede leven te hebben. Nou, voor de tweede vraag, die vlag, dat is ons symbolisch. Dit is de vlag van de Abiyala. De vlag, hier kan je zien de kalender. Alle kleuren representeert natuur, water enzovoort. Dus die vlag is symbool van de Abiyala, van alle Indiaanse gemeenschappen.
Oké, dankjewel Roberto. Wij bedanken Moeder... we thank Mother Earth. Translate to Dutch. Oh my God. At home, there's 3 languages. One goes crazy, trust me. So we thank Mother Earth because Mother Earth is the mother of all nature. The relationship that we indigenous people have with Mother Earth is one of giving and taking, not just of taking. The flag that you see there is the flag of the Adeyala. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, Abiyala.
Ape, that's the one. And the Calandera, which is
Salt and calendar.
yeah,
Yes.
very good. And the colors that it contains represent nature, water, etc. Dankjewel, Roberto. Of course, this question takes longer because 2 answers, right? English and Dutch. There was another question here, and if you could please keep it short, that would be great.
No.
The handheld, could we switch it on?
Okay. So thank you. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias. I was thinking that the struggle you have, well, all the struggles work when they're globals, and they succeed when they're globals. But the point with those struggles is that it's very local and it's very cultural because you are trying to protect your culture. And so how do you think you can articulate both, that having a global movement and still keeping your independence in your particularity? Thanks.
Mira?
Yeah, I think you're very right. Most of the struggles are really local in nature. But as we live abroad and also as us internationals, we would say that education is really key and information dissemination is really key. And fighting fake news and misinformation is also very important. And this way, so we could continue to help, fight for the causes that we are fighting for. So, yeah, that would be my best answer for that.
Your best answer. Because of time, I will leave the talking here. And let me thank all the speakers one more time and make space. Well, thanking goes maybe with an applause. That's how we do it in the West. And our final section is a performance by Roberto. Roberto, kan je ons vertellen heel kort wat jouw muziek gaat zijn?
Ja, eerst ga ik nog even zeggen. Vandaag, 12 oktober, herdenken wij de trieste dag. De geschiedenis van de oorspronkelijke mensen van Abiyala. Dag van het verzet van immense volken. 12 oktober 1492 begon de plundering en vernietiging van onze gewoontes en tradities van oorspronkelijke volkeren van Abiyala.
Eén momentje, Roberto. So today is a sad day. We commemorate the destruction of our people. I will not translate literally, interpret literally because it goes a little too fast. But it is in 1492, on this day, that the destruction of our people and culture started.
De Europeanen kwamen goud. Europeanen kwamen zilver, goud.
Roberto, de microfoon.
Ja. Pardon. De Europeanen kwamen goud, zilver halen. En Bolivia was ooit het rijkste land ter wereld. Er is vandaag die dag het armste land uit Zuid-Amerika.
Okay, so the Europeans came to steal gold and silver. Bolivia used to be a rich country. Now Bolivia is the poorest in Latin America.
Want Bolivia is helemaal beroofd als een kaas vol met gaten.
Because Bolivia has been robbed as a cheese full of holes.
Er is niks meer te halen. De wind fluisteren. De wind blijft de mensen inspireren.
There's nothing to be taken anymore. The wind whispers, the wind continues to inspire people.
De bamboefluit. De grote fluiten.
The bamboo flute,
De
the big
rivieren
flutes.
blijven mensen inspireren, blijven verhalen vertellen.
This keeps inspiring people and keeps telling stories.
De eeuwige steden van Zonnetempel blijven ons vertellen hoe groot onze voorouders geweest zijn.
The big cities of sun temples keep telling us how big our forefathers were.
Ze zeggen dat de Europeanen alles hebben weggehaald. Maar wat was dat allermooiste wat zij hebben gehaald? Dat zeggen ze misschien. De aardappel. Zou een kleine dingetje, aardappel, maar toch overal ter wereld nu te eten is.
They tell us the Europeans have taken everything, but the most beautiful thing that they've taken is the potato, which is now being eaten everywhere.
Nou, ze hebben dit allemaal ook naar Nederland meegenomen door de Spanjaarden. En nu maken ze lekker gerecht dat stampot heet.
The Spanish also took this to the Netherlands, and now they make a tasty dish which is called stampot. It's a traditional tasty dish.
De Spanjaarden, die zelfs noemen ze tortilla española.
The Spanish call it tortilla española.
Ik ben blij dat ik vanavond aanwezig zijn. Ik bouw mijn broeders en zusters. Want in
I'm
onze
happy to
taal,
be here, and I thank my brothers and sisters.
want in onze taal bestaat geen vriend. Iedereen zijn broeders en zusters.
In our language, we don't have friend. Everyone is brother and sister.
Maar voor vanavond heb ik deze instrument meegenomen.
But for tonight, I brought this instrument.
Deze instrument meegenomen, die heet sico.
It's called.
Kon jij zeggen sico?
Sico.
Kijk, is makkelijk hè. Maar in het Spaans is zampoña. En wereldtaal, panfluit. Panfluit.
In Spanish, zampoña. In world language, panfluit. Yeah.
Ja, deze instrument is ook muziek voor community. You say for community.
It produces music for the community.
Deze instrument speel je met z'n tweeën, met elkaar, samen weven. Net als een man en vrouw. Een deel van deze representeert aan de vrouwelijke kant. Andere kant, mannelijke kant. Met elkaar. Wij hebben nodig om te communiceren.
This instrument you play together with two people, one side representing the female side and one representing the male side. And you interwave the playing.
Als je samen goed klinkt, dat gaat muziek zichzelf. En als je een familie, man en vrouw, een broeder, zuster, als je goede harmonie hebt, dan gaat het leven gemakkelijker.
If you sound well together with two people, then the music goes naturally. And if you live in harmony between man and woman, between brothers and sisters, then life becomes better.
Yes.
Okay.
Dus deze instrument, ik ga je spelen. Dit liedje heet 5 eeuwen.
The song's called, that he's about to play is called 5 Centuries.
Dus voordat ik speel, ik ga proberen mijn moeder aarde altijd bedanken. Omdat deze bamboe komt uit de grond.
But first he will thank Mother Earth because the flute comes from the earth.
En deze instrumenten komt ook uit moeder aarde.
Like that other instrument.
Deze is nagels. De nagels leven van moeder aarde. Komt uit de grond, de gras. Eten ze en dan hebben we een mooi instrument. Dus bedanken wij met dezelfde dingen aan moeder aarde.
These nails also come from Mother Earth, following the eating of grass. So this is why we thank Mother Earth. Give Roberto an applause for his performance.
Vijf eeuwen verzet. 5 eeuwen moed. Altijd de essentie behouden. Het is jouw essentie. Het is jouw zaad.
5 centuries of resistance, 5 centuries of courage. This is the essence, it is your essence.
En het is voor altijd in ons. Het leven is gemaakt met de zon en de Pachamama bloeit zij.
It is always in us. Life is made by the sun and the Pachamama.
Bloeit.
And the Pachamama blooms.
Ja, yes. Vanavond, misschien jullie kunnen met mij meedoen.
Join me.
Met mij doen. Het is 2 manieren. Je mag klappen. Of je kan support en kracht geven deze 12 oktober. Zo, net als iemand geeft doe. En kracht geven. Dat geeft mij ben ik niet alleen. Wij zijn met elkaar broeders en zusters. We gaan muziek samen maken. En dat liedje heet 5. Cinco siglos resistiendo. Cinco siglos de coraje. hermanos. Adelante.
Hermano Roberto, can I have the mic? Thank you very much, Roberto. Before we thank the speakers one more time, let me say that after your applause, which can take only 20 seconds, you need to rush downstairs because we're starting the plenary program. Please join me in thanking Roberto, Jero, and Mira. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining.